Good evening.
Good evening.
You are live here courtside with Lawman,
And Carmen B.
and we are here to talk about criminal justice and issues that affect the public.
Definitely.
We
And
are an informational and an educational program. We welcome you to make comments in the chat, to ask questions if you have questions. Um,
and anything that we talk about does not create an attorney-client relationship with myself or Carmen B and you. We're merely informational and we're trying to educate through our questions.
yes, if you have individual questions that you want a specific answer to, you can contact Lawman at
443 area code 916-5600. So 916-443-5600.
or Law Office of Carmody Butler at 916-443-5288.
All right. So we hope everyone is hearing us okay, and we hope not to have any kind of issues tonight. As we bring up again something, well, we talked last week a lot about something, but nobody sort of heard us. But it's the, let's just say it's the news headlines of the day. And that is that we cannot prevent, and we continue to experience individuals who take rifles, weapons, and shoot into crowds
Indiscriminately,
indiscriminately,
trying to kill individuals
as
that
many
they
as possible.
don't know, that have not done anything to them, and trying, as Lawman said, to just kill as many people as possible at one time.
And it would be a difference if we were at a war and there was some identifiable enemy to fight, but here it seems that we're turning it in on ourselves as a society. And it is happening constantly as we speak, tomorrow, 2 weeks from now, 2 weeks ago. The latest would have been July 4th, I would guess, in Chicago, at least the latest that we know of right now, is July 4th in Chicago, where an individual who may or may not have identified himself with some sort of white supremacy groups or people who have such feelings, and took a few weapons and began to shoot in the crowd in Chicago. July 4th parade, where people take their kids, people want to see and celebrate July 4th, which is done all over the nation, every block. And this year, fireworks galore, basically, on every block, and lots of blocks having celebrations. But this time, this young man, I believe very young man, took a weapon and fired on people, killing 6 or 7 and injuring about 20 or so.
And apparently, this is something that he planned out in advance. He wore a costume, basically dressed as a woman, so that when he was done shooting, he could just merge in with the crowd of people who were running, and someone would just think that he was an innocent woman who was running with everyone else away from the danger.
No, that means that he planned this, that this was something that it was an idea in his head that he made into a reality. And it is the reality of citizens of the United States now, that when you are in large groups and large areas now, that it is possible that anyone can be a victim of such a thing. But the real issue becomes from that is, well, what do you do about it? Does it have anything to do with our Second Amendment rights, and what should we do about them? As we've seen when it came to the school, what is law enforcement's responsibility in these situations? And, where are we going morally as a nation with this? We've talked a lot about the Supreme Court decision in Roe v. Wade, although we may have been muted for a lot of that, and we didn't get to hear about how the Supreme Court can actually change the viewpoints of our society and change the morals of our society. Well, what is going to happen when it comes to guns and access to guns? There are laws there, but some of the laws actually allow individuals to have weapons and weaponry and bullets and things like that. And if they choose, they will go out and commit heinous crimes. Now, we would hope to catch an individual that's doing this, and we would hope that there is some sort of bringing a person to justice who does such things. Um, there's an issue over how, I guess, the officers may have caught this individual. Like I said, he was, or like Carm said, he was trying to dress in a disguise in order to elude police or to get away with something. But he didn't. Police were able to chase him and catch him. And, he now has to face the charges. Now, we all know that that could take some while. We don't know what his intent was and whether or not he will live to see a trial. Some individuals choose to kill themselves afterwards, and they do it up until the day of, of their justice and trial. But we don't know what's going to happen in that respect. But the only thing we can do is talk about it criminally and discuss, well, what should we probably now start doing about such events? Because I'll take the position of there's nothing we can do. If someone wants to cause havoc in that fashion, they're going to do it. And there is nothing that the law is going to do to stop it. Our focus has always been on, well, we got to get felons off the street and get these guns away from felons. But in these mass shootings, we're noticing, well, they're not felons. In fact, they could be 18-year-old kids who just go out and buy a gun the day before. Didn't even have to wait, didn't have to pass any kind of instructional course on using it. So I guess it comes down to, what are we willing to live with? Are we willing to live with laws that allow individuals to do that, and we will react each and every time to such things, and we will live under the fear and terror of it happening to you, and when you go grocery shopping or shopping with your kids, or you go to attend an event in the park with your kids? Or do we start thinking about doing something about it? And where it all starts is, of course, the legislatures. The legislatures of our state, the legislatures in our federal government are responsible for creating laws. And those laws that they create should be applied to the local citizens. We have what's called a three-headed monster, so to speak, in our government. One being the legislative branch to make laws, one being the judicial branch in order to test those laws, and the executive branch who enforces those laws. But the laws should also reflect the will of the people, which it doesn't do a lot of the time. So now we're in this quandary on this Second Amendment of what kind of laws should exist and how can they be spread fairly through society, Con?
Well, let me stop you there, lawman, because laws don't prevent actions from occurring. For example, how long has it been illegal to commit murder? Are murders still occurring on a fairly regular basis in our society? So merely making something illegal does not stop that event from happening. Impacting our rights, our gun rights as citizens, is not going to stop someone who is disturbed or who is angry and who decides that they are going to get a gun and they are going to shoot a bunch of innocent people. Now, perhaps something could have stopped this incident had more attention been paid to this young man and apparently what was going on in his home. And I'm going to guess that there are probably people who knew him who suspected that he harbored these thoughts or who saw the types of things that he was reading on social media or posting on social media. And they failed to report them or to try and seek help for this individual. And sometimes what that help looks like is having that person detained for a 72-hour period for a mental health evaluation.
Now, I will bring out two things. Number one, am I my brother's keeper? Meaning, do I have to rat on people just because of my suspicions?
Oh,
And, yeah, am I my brother's keeper? And when you say that the laws don't kill people,
that's not what I said.
well, laws don't prevent people from killing people. Shouldn't the laws apply so that it would be less likely for individuals to be able to quickly buy a gun, buy mass ammunition, use guns that fire a lot of ammo at a time? Hold on. And should there be laws directed towards those things in order to try to prevent a mass shooting?
All you are doing with laws is related to guns is preventing law-abiding people from purchasing those guns. Someone who is not law-abiding can buy that type of weapon illegally on the street and still commit that type of action. It just may take them a little bit more effort. It may cost them a little bit more money because they're purchasing it illegally. But if they have decided that that is the thing that they are going to do, they're going to find a way to do it. Now, with am I my brother's keeper? I'm not saying the people who didn't report on this young man or get him mental health treatment should be charged with any crime. That is not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is that they have an obligation to the person that I'm guessing they care about, that they love, that they know, to do something to prevent him from engaging in this behavior, because not only now are the lives of those individuals that he killed lost, his life will be lost in a different way. Even if and I don't think right now that Illinois is enforcing the death penalty. I'm not 100% sure on that. But even if the death penalty is sought for this young man, it would be probably a very long time before it is imposed. And again, I'm against the death penalty. But even if it is not sought and he goes to trial and is convicted and receives life in prison, his life is irreparably changed by that. So it would have been better for those who know him and love him to have sought help for him. Maybe it wouldn't have worked, but if no one even tried, how do we know? And now we're dealing with the carnage of lost lives of innocent people because no one sought help for this person.
I will point out that it is not against the law to hate. It is not against the law to plot against people. And since that is not against the law, I could find out that a person is engaging in a group that spews hate, that wants to overthrow something or do something about it. But if they haven't broken the laws yet, then I can't report them to police or authorities or even say that they're doing something dangerous or crazy.
Again, no one asked. One, you can report people all the time. There's a suspicious black man walking down my street. Has he done a crime? No, but he looks suspicious. So people report things all the time. But that was not my point, that they should have reported him to law enforcement. My point specifically was they should have sought help for him.
But how do you know a person has to want help in order to receive the help? They can't just say, dude, you got to go get some help for your hate and things like that. You see? I mean,
we have a comment. It says, less than a year later, his own father sponsored the shooter for his Illinois firearms license because in Illinois, a person over 18...
under 21
needs a parent with a firearms license to sponsor them. And so, yes, his father sponsored him, which maybe his father was unaware of his hate speech. Maybe his father actually supported his hate speech.
Though. Totally within the laws.
Again, not saying that it's outside of the law. What I'm saying is If there were people who cared about this young man, they could have sought help for him.
But his dad
The
cares
weirdo-
for him, and he goes and helps him get a gun.
The weirdo in Illinois, well, the father may have agreed with the things that he was saying. The weirdo in Illinois behind the massacre had the cops called twice to his family home by his own parents for making threats, but the family wouldn't press
Exactly.
charges. That is a
Exactly.
comment from Moran Tactical.
Which means that people are not going to rat on their family or their friends or even people they know that are weird.
Well,
They're
that's not
going
even
to
true
do that.
because clearly they did, as you use the term rat, because the police were called.
Yeah.
But I'm
But
not,
there's
again,
nothing
you keep
that the
using the
parents
term
can
rat.
do.
If I thought that my child was having a mental issues or that my child was going to do something to harm other people, and I believed that that was the result of mental issues, I'm going to try and seek help for my child because I care about my child and I don't want anyone else to be hurt.
Carmen, you stand alone because I don't think that is the viewpoint of a lot of parents of 18-year-olds or older children running around in America.
So they
I will
don't care
point-
what their children do?
That's, well, and number two.
And if that
wait a
is the
minute.
case, and I'm going to disagree
Yeah.
with you on that point, because I believe that the majority of parents do care about their children, do care what their children are doing, and don't want their children hurting themselves or hurting other people in such a way that it will have a very negative impact on that young adult's life when they are captured, contacted, arrested by law enforcement.
What if they're taught to hurt by those parents? They're taught to hate by those parents. You see?
Well,
Then
that's a
there's
different story.
Oh,
If the
no, that
parents
is the
support-
story.
if-
That would be the story of the boy.
If the parents support
Yeah.
that same position,
Won't
then-
file the charges,
then-
even though there's complaints against the guy.
well, they were the ones that were making the complaint. It's
Well-
just when law enforcement showed up, they said,
They
yes,
won't- that's right.
we wanted it. I'm guessing what they said was, we want it documented, we want it noted, but we don't actually want you to arrest our son.
I think that's a rare move a lot of times with parents, who, especially of kids who are adults. Now, the other thing is we have a First Amendment right, and we can spew as much stuff on a website. We can talk about things and hating others. We can talk about shooting others as long as we don't do it. But we can talk about things all we want as long as it isn't the kind of thing that would start riots or start uprisals in theaters because of fire dangers, things like that. So I think people can do what they want to do. They can hate when they want to hate, and if they see fit, then they're going to take it out with weapons. Now, I know you said, well, it isn't the people and things like this, and it isn't the weapons necessarily. It's the people who have these feelings. But look at it this way. If the 18-year-old couldn't have a weapon, period, and they wouldn't sell it to him, he'd have to get it in another surreptitious way.
Oh, and are you saying that that's impossible to occur?
I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm saying it's a deterrent. That's all. You ain't going to be so easy to walk down and have your parents sponsor you and get the gun.
It's just more
A
difficult.
deterrent.
It costs more. It's not.
Cost?
It does not deter the person who is seeking to create this kind of harm.
I'm not. Yes, it does, because they're not going to get the weapons that they need and the bullets that they need because
They are.
can't
They're
buy
just
them.
going to buy them illegally. How many of your clients?
How many
Oh,
people-
let me ask you this
Well,
question. How many
ask the
of
one.
your clients
That's right.
that are felons
Yep.
own guns? Are they purchasing those guns legally? No, they are not. Where are they getting them from? They're getting them illegally off the street. So it does not, having a law that says you can't have a gun does not stop people from having guns.
The law doesn't say you can't have a gun. It says specifically when you're a felon, you can't have a gun. It should say if you're 21, you can't have a gun.
Okay,
It
you're
should-
missing my
no,
point.
No, no,
You're missing
wait.
my point.
Hold on.
Because my point is saying that having a law that says
right.
that doesn't prevent it from happening, because we have a law that says if you are a felon, you cannot have a gun.
That's right.
Every single day, there are cases that come through the criminal justice system with felons who have guns. Where
Where
are
did they get
getting-
them?
What- this
From
is
the
my question.
law-abiding citizens who are buying the weapons and stockpiling.
That is not the only
They are
place that they're getting-
burglarizing and getting them from them.
illegally. illegally.
That's right.
And so
And if the law-abiding citizens didn't have a stockpile, then they wouldn't hit the street.
That is-
Even if one weapon
That's
couldn't
not
be
true.
burglarized, it wouldn't hit the street.
So in your mind, every single weapon that is on the street is a burglarized weapon that
Stolen,
a felon
possibly,
has?
yeah.
No, because that's
Most
not
likely
the case.
stolen.
That's
All right,
there
then
are
it's
a
a
lot
ghost
that are-
weapon that they built, or it's one that's being sold by somebody who may have the rights to have it to a felon. Because when is the good guy going to turn into the bad guy? Because I'm a good guy and I got a bunch of weapons. But if I just decide one day to be the bad guy and go out here and shoot, then what are you going to say? Keith should have known, or people should have known, somebody should have told Keith, go to the hospital, get some help. They never would know. And I got weapons legally. If I never had them, then I couldn't do it. That's all I'm saying. It sounds like a crisis.
What I hear you saying is you are willing to
Cut that
turn
Second
in
Amendment. That's
all
right.
of your weapons.
That's it.
Hold on, we have a comment. Lawman, didn't one of your clients have an unlicensed machine pistol in his possession days after being released from prison?
Nope, not one of mine. That might have been somebody out here. But here's the thing. That pistol that he had, where it came from, maybe it was taken from a law-abiding citizen who thought they had their weapon secured, and it wasn't secured.
So what Lawman is saying is that nobody gets to have any
That's
weapons
right.
except for the government. The government,
By
in
law.
Lawman's world, would be the only person who could have weapons.
By law.
Well,
Sure, as long as there's a law.
I'm not comfortable with
Well,
that.
I don't
Especially
know. How
at
many
the
times
especially
do the good
at the
guys
rate,
become bad guys, though?
especially at the rate at which things are going in our society right now.
And because
so
it's
I am
that
let
way.
me finish.
All right.
I am not comfortable with the government being
Yeah.
the only one that has guns.
Here's the thing. At some point, push has got to hit shove. Okay? So you take everything away for a while. That's all. Just for a while.
For
you
what
have
while?
to stop
What
it.
is the while?
You have to collect
And it
and
doesn't
stop.
stop it as long as
It
there are
halts it.
illegal weapons out there.
Take the illegal weapons because you're going out and looking for them anyway.
A
So
comment
now
is
anybody who's
fun-
got it,
A
it's
comment,
illegal.
a comment is fun fact. San Francisco area federal law enforcement agency lost almost 300 weapons in the last 5 years.
See?
So those aren't weapons that were stolen.
Yeah.
He says lost.
Law-abiding individuals lost them.
They lost them.
That's right.
That's not stolen.
That's right.
That's lost.
Well, law-abiding people losing damn weapons. If they didn't have them, couldn't lose them.
well, that's a law enforcement
That's
agency.
right.
So you would leave
That's
them.
right.
You would leave
I
them.
would take their guns
Okay,
too.
you have to let me finish. We're
But
not going to have a
I
good
would
show
just know
if you're interrupting.
I will take their guns too. Law enforcement shouldn't have them either.
So nobody has guns.
That's right. Can't kill.
So
Can't kill by weapons.
so where are all the guns going to be? Destroyed? We'll just be a gunless society?
Now I can
So
put them
then
in my backyard.
What about the military? Military doesn't get to have weapons
military
either?
probably shouldn't. They're not doing anything with them now.
So Lawman wants a utopia.
That's right.
That doesn't
No
exist.
guns.
That doesn't exist.
That's right. Gunless society. You want to kill? You got to use a knife. Got to use a slingshot. Something else. No, I mean,
Unfortunately,
I'm saying
the
if
gun
you want to
companies-
stop all the gun violence,
that's
that's
not
how you
what-
got to do it.
But now you have to be realistic. That's not
Yes.
going to happen because it is an industry that makes millions and billions of
Right.
dollars.
And that's where we got to stop 'em. Right there. There you go. That's where the politicians come in and do their job, is to take it away from them. Make it unprofitable to make a gun.
Well, that's not going to happen. They
All
tried
right.
that with the tobacco company.
That was
and,
tobacco, and it
that
was
has-
alcohol.
and
Two
that has-
different things. Mind-changing, altering things.
We're not talking now about what the item is. We're talking about whether or not the
Gun?
government tries to take
Hold
it.
on. You said they did it with alcohol. And
No,
I'm just
that's
saying
not what I
you
said.
can take
I
all
said-
the guns.
I didn't say alcohol. I said
Tobacco.
I said they tried with tobacco. Tobacco
do
is
what?
still extremely.
They never illegalized it. They never made it illegal.
Tobacco is still extremely. They tried to make it such that it would not be profitable. It is still extremely profitable.
Because it was ran by a corporation.
Does Lawman know that a guy built a homemade gun to
Yep.
include the propellant and cartridges
That's
and
right.
used it to assassinate the former prime minister of Japan yesterday? Lawman, are you aware
Oh,
of
we
that?
have those here. We have those here. That's right. And the law-abiding citizens get the homemade guns, then get them stolen or taken, or they're giving them away by the law-abiding citizens providing people who shouldn't have them the guns.
Well, then they're
And,
not.
and guess
then
what?
They're not law
Japan.
abiding.
How many guns in Japan society? It took that guy to make a weapon to do that because you couldn't just run to a store and buy a damn weapon. That's why. That was rare. Rare. They have a shooting of their prime minister. That's rare. Here, we talk about mass shootings every day.
Is Lawman proposing we outlaw
Yes. Weapons.
we outlaw pipe and knowledge?
Yeah, sure. Any kind of makeup guns, pop guns, any kind of guns in general, we're going to have to outlaw them for a while. If you can wait it out until society rests again and we can lower the shooting rates, then you can get your guns back.
And that is where I disagree.
I know. And that's okay. But you see, the problem is we've got an extreme problem and we have no extreme answers. And to answer an extreme problem, you gotta have an extreme answer.
Well, did outlawing alcohol during Prohibition stop alcohol?
Wasn't extreme.
No, it did not.
Because it wasn't
But
extreme.
no, it did not.
It could have if it was extreme.
No, it just
Yes.
there became an illegal market for
No,
it.
here's
and
a-
the same
all right,
thing
I'll
would
tell you
happen.
what happened.
The same thing would happen with firearms.
No. See, what happened was the federales passed that law, but they didn't have the enforcement wing necessary in order to prevent it. So people were continuing to make it and then
Well,
bootleg
do
it
they have
in.
the enforcement wing to prevent it now?
We will make the enforcement wing, exactly. Because we know that that's the fault in when you take things, is
So-
that you have to take them all.
So I am supposing that Lawman is fine with the government
That's
coming
right.
into everyone's
'Cause I
home.
know where they're registered.
Like-
I know who got them and where they at.
Lawman, let's not
Go ahead.
interrupt.
But I know where they at.
I believe that Lawman is fine with the government
Yeah.
going into everyone's home and violating the Fourth Amendment and searching to make sure that there are no guns in that home in order to enforce
Yeah.
this proposed law.
Yes. You write a law that gets around the Fourth Amendment.
Nixon created the DEA in 1972, and nobody ever died from ODing again. I think
I don't know about that.
The comment is
But
being
here's the deal.
sarcastic
In the
because
30s,
we know that
when
people
Prohibition
are dying.
occurred, there was not enough individuals to go in and stop these things. They had to use G-men. They had to use the government in order to enforce things that were happening on a state basis.
I think the commenter's point is creating an agency to deal with a particular issue is not going to be the end.
We already
of that
got
issue.
the agencies out there. We got the CIA, the FBI,
They
we got
can't-
alcohol,
we
tobacco,
have them
and
out
firearms.
there,
We got
but they
local
can't
law
stop-
enforcement.
Why are felons having guns then? Why
Local
aren't they
law-
enforcing it against? We
Because
know
they're
that-
taking them from law-abiding people and then using them on the street.
No, my point is,
That's why.
Why isn't there law enforcement preventing felons from getting those guns in the
Oh,
first place?
because felons are not putting on the internet, "Hi, I'm a felon, I got a gun," except for the stupid ones. Okay? That's all.
Well-
Just the stupid ones do that, and then we catch them. And then we run around and say, "Ha ha, see? There was a gun on the street."
Another comment says, Lawman sounds like he wants to live in North Korea. And with that, we are going to have to
North
leave
Korea.
it there. We've reached an end of another episode with Courtside with Lawman.
And Carmen B.
Again, we appreciate you watching the show. We appreciate your questions. We appreciate your comments. We are here every Friday at 6 p.m. from 6 p.m. to 6:30. If you have pressing legal issues that you want the answers to, this is the place to be, Fridays at 6 p.m.
Especially if there are issues regarding the criminal justice system and what is happening right now in terms of prosecutions and non-prosecutions and things like that.
And amazing how yet another individual who had shot numerous people was able to be taken into custody without a single bullet being fired. But we know that there was a young man who was being detained for a traffic stop that was shot approximately 60 times when he was unarmed, had not killed anyone, and was merely, my understanding, running away from officers. We will leave it there this Friday. Hope to see you next Friday at 6 p.m. Courtside with Lawman.
And Carmen B.
Thank you.
Take care, everyone.